Can I tell you something crazy? You could be living the life that you've always dreamed of living. A life where you are financially free, where you have mental clarity, where you are living life with a mission, where you're fit, where you're surrounded by amazing friends, where every day is a new adventure, and where you have an amazing, supportive, beautiful partner by your side who supports you in every aspect of your life. You could be living that life, but you are destroying yourself with your own bad habits. You are literally your own worst enemy. But in this video, I am going to help you to overcome your bad habits. But first, let me tell you a story that you might be able to relate to. Billy has played video games for hours daily for over 5 years. He scrolls through social media for at least a couple hours daily, and there hasn't been a single month where he hasn't watched porn since he was 13 years old. Billy is not doing anything to improve his life, but he still mentally masturbates to the ideas and the grand visions that he has in his mind of finally accomplishing something.
Oh, one day I'll get Margot Robbie. One day I'll be a millionaire.
Yet almost every single habit that he has in his life currently is leading him further down a life of mediocrity. Now, meet Ox. Ox is a man's man. He's the type of man that your grandfather would have looked up to. Ox used to have bad habits in his life, but he looked deep down within himself and he knew that he could do better. So he spent years cutting out all of the negative habits from his life, and it was a tough journey. And once Ox had achieved a clean slate, he spent the next couple years of his life consciously picking and choosing positive habits to instill into his life, one good habit at a time. Meditation, working out, journaling, communicating effectively, being vulnerable, storytelling, being assertive, approaching women. Over the course of years and years, he mastered each of these skills. Now, years later, his life is absolutely beautiful. He is mentally focused and he has a clear vision and purpose for his life. And that mission allows him to lead his tribe and his lady effortlessly. And they love him for it. He has freedom and absolute abundance in his life. Every day is a new adventure. But it's all because one day long ago, he decided to get rid of his negative habits and to make a change for the better. That's where it all started. Now, there's a book called The Compound Effect by Darren Harron. I forget his name. But it's a book that is extremely important. But the main point of the book is that seemingly tiny habits, whether positive or negative, can have a massive effect when compounded over the course of weeks, months, and years. I'm not sure if you've heard the old myth of a butterfly flapping its wings in Antarctica causing a hurricane somewhere else across the world, but it's literally that same exact concept. When you take a small action and compound it over time, the effects get progressively larger and larger. So if you take one small habit, like working out for 5 minutes a day, and compound that over the course of months and years and decades, who you would have been if you continue down that same path that you were originally on, and who you become from your new path, over the course of years, they become so vastly different. And the thing is, your negative habits probably aren't tiny. They're probably not tiny negative habits. They're probably things that are having a big negative impact on your life. So over the course of years, if you stay on your current path versus pursuing a better, more positive path, the effects will be even larger. It's vastly different. It's vastly different. And you are the only one holding yourself back. Now, speaking for myself, when I was younger, I was addicted to video games for years. When I was 10, 11 years old, I would literally sit down and play a game called RuneScape for 2, 3, 4, 5 hours every single day. And this continued for years. And even after I quit playing RuneScape, I started playing other video games like The Last of Us. And just think about how much time was wasted there. 3 hours a day, at least, for 5, 6, 7 years. That is thousands of hours. Thousands of hours. There's a saying that it takes 10,000 hours to master any skill in life. Just imagine if I had taken those thousands of hours that I committed towards playing a video game and instead took it and invested that in learning some skill that would have completely transformed my life. Again, 3 hours a day doesn't seem like much, but when you add that up over the course of years and years and years, it becomes massive. But eventually I moved on from video games and I began to get addicted to other negative habits. I began going out and partying and doing drugs and drinking alcohol, and I was grossly addicted to all those things. And the bad part is that I was doing these drugs and partying when I was in the military. So you can imagine how that ended. Not well. But over the course of years and years and years, I overcame all of those negative habits. I've maybe picked up a video game controller 5 or 6 times in the past year, and that's only been when I go home to visit my family. I don't do drugs anymore. I don't smoke weed. I don't drink alcohol. I'll occasionally do those things socially, but very rarely. And my life has improved so much from removing those negative habits. Now, I'll be honest, one habit that was extremely hard for me to kick was watching pornography. That was something that I struggled with for years and years and years. And even today, I wouldn't say I'm completely past it. I'm much better than I was 2 years ago, but from time to time, I do still struggle with that. So again, you need to be patient with yourself as you're going through this process of removing bad habits from your life, because anyone who says that you'll be there like that overnight, they're probably lying to you, and that's gonna hurt your mental health. You need to have realistic expectations for yourself. Quitting any habit that's become a part of your life is not going to happen overnight. But anyways, let me explain how I was able to remove the negative habits from my life. Tip number 1, do not go cold turkey. Do not. You are literally shooting yourself in the foot if you try to go cold turkey. Just think about it logically. If you were a crackhead and you had done crack every single day for the last 3-4 years of your life, and you just decided to quit one day, completely quit overnight, do you think that they would succeed? Do you? No matter what your bad habit is, no matter what addiction it is, it triggers the same areas within your brain. So you need to give yourself time to wean yourself off of that bad habit. Start off by skipping just 1 day, then skip 2 days, then 4 days, then 5 days, then a week, then go 2 weeks, then go a month, and gradually build up over time. But the truth of the matter is that if you're even watching this video right now, then you probably don't have the willpower to go cold turkey. Why do I say that? Because if you had the willpower, you wouldn't be watching this video. You wouldn't. So the simple fact that you're here right now watching this video shows me that you don't have the willpower to go cold turkey. And there's nothing wrong with that. I didn't either. Most people don't. But you need to be honest with yourself and realize that it's going to take time. But even if it takes you a year to quit, isn't that worth it for a better life? For a transformed life where you're not constantly relying on some external source for your own happiness? Isn't that worth it? So take the process slowly and realize that if you consistently build up over time, eventually you will reach a point where you no longer need that substance or that activity. Tip number 2, and this one is very important. Do not use relapse as an excuse to indulge in that negative behavior. What do I mean by that? I remember when I used to watch porn and I'd be trying to quit porn, and I might have a 5-day streak or a 10-day streak. And as soon as I watched porn one time, my streak would reset. I'd be back on day 0. So I'd think to myself, I may as well do it again. So I'd keep on diving deeper and deeper into that negative behavior because I felt like all progress had already been lost. Do you realize how negative of a mindset that is? Just because you relapse, that does not make you a failure. Look at your past and look how far you've come. A year ago, how many times were you doing that bad habit? Think about how negative that mindset is. If we had someone who was addicted to cocaine, and 2 years ago, they used to do cocaine every single day, multiple times a day. And now fast forward 2 years and they went 10 days without doing cocaine at all, but then they did it one time. Would we consider that a failure? That's a stupid, negative, toxic mindset. They are a success. They've grown so much from where they used to be. You need to take that progress and not look at relapse as a chance to indulge, and not look at relapse as a failure. Don't count the days of your streak. This is a new lifestyle for you. Stop counting the days. You are not a failure if you relapse, but you are a failure if you use your relapse as an excuse to keep on doing that same behavior. So everything that I've already said is really important, but let me tell you the number one secret to truly change. So I need you to close your eyes right now. Seriously, close your eyes. Stop being a weirdo. Close them. Now. All right, your eyes are closed. And I want you to think about this. Envision the life that you want to be living. A life where you have mental clarity, where you feel grounded. A life where you have complete financial freedom and you only ever choose to work on something that is truly meaningful to you. A life where you have an amazing body, a life that is full of adventure, a life where you are surrounded by amazing friends and have deep connections, a life where you have a beautiful, supportive woman by your side who supports you in everything that you do and floods your life with positive feminine energy. Doesn't that sound amazing? Now, open your eyes and compare it to the life that you're living right now. You're addicted to something to fill the void inside of yourself, whether that's video games, pornography, alcohol, drugs, social media. You're addicted to something and rely on that for your own comfort. And sure, maybe your addiction isn't the only thing that needs to change in order to create that dream life that you want to have, but it's also certainly not bringing you any closer. I can guarantee you that. So isn't that something that's worth fighting for? Something that's worth changing for? The secret is that you need to decide to change. At the end of the day, it is nothing more than a choice. You are going to be tempted every single day, but you need to recommit and recommit and recommit time and time again. It's not going to be an easy process, and you are going to relapse. You are, but each time you're going to last a little bit longer, and you'll be a little bit stronger, and you'll build up a bit more willpower until eventually you reach a magical point where one day you never even need to think of that bad habit again. And that is when you know you've won. That's when you've made it. So I need you to remind yourself every time that you think of relapsing of the beautiful life that you're giving up on by continuing to indulge in your bad behavior. Think of it. You are literally betraying your future self every time that you continue to do that behavior. You're telling yourself, oh, I don't deserve this life. So I want you to tell me with your action, do you deserve that life or no? Listen, I know you can do this. It's going to be a tough journey, but you're tougher. You got this.